Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are in the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verses 1 through 3, and then picking up at verse 16 through 30. Now, the Lord says to Moses, I want you to send men to go explore, to be a scouting expedition into the land that I have promised you. God has made a promise to give Israel a place where they will be blessed by the Lord. And so he says, I'm sending them. Now, all of them are leaders, and yet they're not all equal leaders. And Moses says to them, I'm sending you to see if the land that we were going to, if it's good or bad, if the soil is fertile or not. Now, I think this is funny because that's not the charge that the Lord gave, but that's the way Moses interpreted it. And if a good God makes a promise, he would send you to a good land, you should say that that's what's going to happen. But Moses, we're going to figure this out on our own, huh? And he also says we need to evaluate what the people would be like and whether there are going to be walled cities, fortifications. And why don't you bring back some fruit too? And so they come back. In verse 23, we hear they come back, and the two guys are carrying a pole that has a single branch of a cluster of grapes. There's so many grapes on this cluster, right? And they come back after 40 days, like 40 days of reflection. And they report to Moses and Aaron. And imagine you are one of those guys who is reporting what they saw. Now, there's Caleb and Joshua amongst them. Now, all of them agree this is a land flowing with milk and honey, that here's the fruit. It's abundant. This is an amazing place that the Lord has set aside for me. But, and this is a but of doubt. This is a human contradiction to what God has promised. He says, the people, those people, they say, they're large. They're descendants of giants. They're humongous. And their cities are fortified. And more than that, these cities are peopled with the Canaanites and Amorites. Now, you need to understand that the phrase Canaanite and Amorite is really code for these people being pagans, wicked pagans. And if you want to know how wicked they are, just read the book of Leviticus that tells the Israelites all the things that they're not supposed to do in order to be different from the pagan predecessors. And so these are people who are living outside of God's will. They're wicked. And so then in verse 30, Caleb says, we can do this. Now, why would Caleb think that they could go into the land? How does he say this? How do we as the people of God think that we can go into a foreign territory, right? Into some new adventure, and that it'll be prosperous? Because where the Lord leads, God provides. And do we believe God's promises that he's going to lead us into a promised future? Or do we treat God's promises with contempt? That's the challenge, and that's what we're coming to in our next lesson. Thanks. Have a blessed day.